Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jump and today I'll be reviewing Hue, which was released back in 2016. Now, the main plot of this game is that the main character, Hue, is looking for his mum, who's turned or made herself invisible by using the colours, or doing a research via the colours, which made her turn invisible, and there's this guy who kind of wanted to use her work, Mr. Grey, and it's basically up to you to just try and find your mum, or it's up to Hugh to find his mum by using all the different colours that he finds throughout the game. Now, this game, I just happened to find on the PlayStation Store, I think back in April of this year, and because I was looking through the price tag, like the 80% off, that sort of thing, and I saw this game and it looked really interesting, so I thought I should get it to try and have a go with it. And I would say this is a very interesting game, I would say, when compared to the other games that I've played and also reviewed on this channel, because with other games like Mario, The Legend of Zelda, God of War, a lot of those games are more combat heavy, but also sometimes puzzle heavy, depending on which games you're playing. So, like with Mario, that's a lot of those games are well known for its platforming as well as some of its boss fights. The Legend of Zelda is known for its dungeons, and again its bosses. And God of War, something similar. It's good for a lot of the games are good for its storytelling and character growth, especially when it comes to the newer games. But with Hue, it mainly focuses on the platforming, and there isn't really much combat in the game. There isn't really any enemies. The only things you have to avoid are, when it comes to taking damage, are pits with spikes in them, the water that's like on a lake thing, as well as boulders, and those are the only kinds of obstacles you have to try and avoid. And that's a really interesting concept to do, because when it comes to certain parts of each of the levels, you have to use the colour wheel that you have at your disposal to basically try and platform yourself. So, for instance, there's a part of the level where, during each of the levels, you have to try and move from one side to the next, and you basically have to switch the color wheel. So let's say, for example, there's an orange box or something, or an orange wall that's blocking you. You can then change the color wheel to the color wheel to the orange color, and then you can just walk on by and just get to the end of the level. Or when it comes to the more complex platforming bits, for example, there's this bit where there are boulders that are different colours just coming down a cliff, a cliff-like platform, and you have to basically switch different colours on the fly to try and platform your way up and to get to the next section without getting hit by the boulders. And that's an interesting way to play the game, because not a lot of games that I've played do this sort of thing, where they use colour as the main gimmick. And yeah, that's something really fun and interesting, and it's something that's never really done before, I believe. So yeah, and now it's time for some gameplay. So when it comes to the gameplay, if you want to access the colour wheel, you have to use the right gear stick, or the right control stick. So let's say you want to, for example, now it's orange. I can now avoid all of the boulders that are orange. I can also use it in mid-air, so that's a really good bit of platforming. So like, if you're about to get hit by a particular colour, so just like that, I will have to restart the whole level again. And the background colour will change, or it will be the same until you change a different colour. So let's go with blue for now. So yeah, and I forgot. So it's one of those. I think Hue's one of those games where you have to really think on your feet about what's going to happen next. So change to purple, changed to orange. So it's one of those it's one of those games that to really think on your feet. I think that's what makes the game really good. Is just like having to think, okay, what's the next color coming, and how can I quickly change the color depending on what's going to happen next, and if I can before I have to restart the whole level, just like I did there. So I would say, when it comes to Hue, always think on your feet, because the gameplay element is really good. It's like, I would say it's a much more, like, if you take something like the Mario games, when it comes to their platforming, those levels are straightforward, and so is this game, so is Hue, but I would say this is a bit more complex in terms of the platforming, because as I said before, you always have to think on your feet, and I think that's what helps the game a whole lot, because there's like 100 things in your way from like the start to the finish, and it's just one of those things where you just have to think, okay, just think of what's going to happen and stuff like that, and hopefully I can actually get to the end of this part of the level. And also, if I bring up the map, you will see there'll be different beacons or beaker-like objects, and throughout each of the levels, as well as the hub worlds that you go to, there are various beakers you can find, and they're all scattered throughout the level. It's kind of like I think it's Crash, similar with Crash with the hidden gems, in that sort of sense, in that you have to basically find all these different beakers, and they are quite hidden throughout each of the levels, and there are a certain amount of ones you have to find. I think that's quite good in terms of like, just find each of the beakers to basically just try and 100% the game, and that's really good. Ooh, and change colours. So yeah, as I said before, no, that's one colour. That's not orange. But anyway, I think you kind of understand how the gameplay is done. And also, if you want to when it comes to the end of the level, the other level, you'll see there'll be a door, but it will always be a certain colour. So right now it's purple, so I can't really go back. But if I change it to blue, for example, I can go back. So like this. Go back, yes. And each of the levels each part of the level is very different. So yeah. So that's been it for the gameplay. Now it's time to go back to the review. So overall, I would say I enjoy playing Hue. It's one of those it's one of those games that really pushes the boat out when it comes to how it tells the story and how it uses its gimmicks in the world around it to try and do different platforming stuff. And yeah, and I do like how colourful it can be, because whenever you enter a new area, the entire world is grey. Like the entire background, the foreground is completely grey. But whenever you switch to a different colour, it becomes more colourful, and I think that adds more to the world, and I think that's really interesting, and adds, and it feels like it's basically adding life to the world, and that's something really cool, and something, again, most other games don't really do. Something that probably is similar, but not to the same kind of extent, is probably the Twilight areas in Twilight Princess, in the sense that you see all these people cowering for their lives whenever they're in the Twilight, and then once you've removed the Twilight, people are more happy and more doing the more normal stuff and stuff like that. So yeah, it kind of reminds me of that a bit when it comes to bringing life back into the world. And yeah, I think Hue is a very fun game that's really interesting to play through, and it's just and it uses its ideas really well, and just has some great platforming parts, and has some nice, really cool various levels to play around in. So yeah. So that's been my review for Hue. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.